All right, eyebrows. Got a little bit of a corner here. So we're going to go in for these dark brow shapes, which I will consider like bend rectangles. It helps to keep a general shape in mind even as you're following your own contours. And it's that flicking motion right along that bottom edge going up. Establishes not only it looks like hair, but it does capture some of the realness of the values being presented. Gives a bit of control as we go over here to the darker side. All right. Goes in there. Actually, just kind of vanish in there as we finish out this very dark shape. Contours. Your cheek. Oh, I love this. I love this. Flicks that contour around that cheek. I'll establish where that gradient is going to go and why. And this is very dark as well. Right there. I like these flicks motions with the broad area of my charcoal. Kind of like hatch lines in a row. I find it easier that way to control the increasing depth of these shadows. And in the other direction, just to bring along a bit of homogeny, you know. Doesn't all have to look streaky. And a little bit more on this hairline. Again, those flick motions really establish the hair and help avoid those gradients. Now what I've done, it's gone a little bit far on this forehead shadow. And I can tell that because I have this arch, remember, this arch on the forehead. And it disappears to barely above midtone, barely above the paper, right there. And as you know, highlights and shadows do not play together. Unfortunately, that's just how it is with light values. I'm going to pull this back a little bit, and kneaded erasers are perfect for that. They're gummy, sticky. They're a tool for eliminating particles that you might not want to be there. And it is those particles that create that density. So if you need to reduce density, you can use your kneaded eraser as well. It's not just a mistake eliminator, it's a tool. You know, it's just as important as your pencil. All right, let's go back to reestablishing some relative values. There is this, again, a kind of minor occlusion shadow following that cheekbone. That goes all the way down. Naturally, it follows down this muscle systems toward the mouth. Making notes for myself with these shapes. For now, I'm going to leave the jaw mostly untouched along that edge. Come back to that as I establish my midtones. In fact, you know what? I'll just do it now. Get that in there. You know what? Why waste time? Why do tomorrow what we can do today? Let's just go ahead, create that denseness we know is going to be there eventually anyway. Really establish some very good relative values. Okay, now I'm not going to go all the way right now. Let me go there. Why not? But I do need to give myself a point of reference for these delightful little midtones that act like a highlight. They're just an ambient light. You see an ever so faint darkening there on the muscle, ever so faint. She has this concavity to her cheek right there, and the occlusion shadow around the bone. Excuse me, the orbit created by the bone underneath those muscles. A little density here because we want a bit more uniform in this space. It does get a bit lost. We don't need to have confusing variations of value that create details and features that don't really exist. This is where we really have to get very particular about where we start putting our dark values, because these values are creating our perception of her three-dimensional form. We start putting shadows where they're not supposed to be, her face is going to be all messed up. So let's not do that. All right. I really like where that occlusion shadow is happening there. And then we have this under the cheek shadow. That comes around. Here's where we have something fun happening. The light hitting the neck from this side is now going to compete with the shadow around the chin. And it's that balance of value that creates our perception of the shape. However, it also affects our perception of the value. The more we understand that there is a contrast, sometimes we get tempted to make things either darker or lighter than they are because they're fighting together so epically, so dramatically. So in these cases, what you get is you get this weird middling band somewhere in the center where the values are exactly equal between what is overlaid and what is behind. So that's what's happening right here. That's totally, totally natural. We have a much more crisp bottom edge to that chin. All right. Still looking a little bit. This is going to take a lot of time, honestly. You can watch if you want, but I think you get the idea what I'm doing here. I will come back in a little while as we start to approach the eyes and the features. I'm saving those for last because those are the most fun things. And I just like to mess with you guys. All right? I'm going to give myself a bit more of a buffer here along this edge to reconsider my shapes. All right, I'm going to sharpen my pencil again, and the next time you see this thing, I'll be a little bit further along. All right, see you soon.